the City of Clear Lake Shores City Council regular meeting June 1st, 2021 at 6:30 to order. All members of council are present. Item number 2, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Texas flag. All right, a few extra faces in here tonight. Nice to see everybody here. It's a great honor to do this proclamation in recognition of the Clear Lake Shores 2021 graduating high school seniors. So I'll read these off. Where's my list? Want me to off here? All right, so I'll read off the list, and well, I'm going to give you the proclamations, certificates. First one is Peyton Bean, not present. Justin Cronister. Yep, come on up. Challenge coin. There you go. You can hang out up here. We're going to take a picture in a second, okay? And next is Connor Comey. And Brandon Dunnigan. You already have one, don't you? Congratulations. Grayson Foster. Grace LeBlanc. Mason Lindsay. Graham Matchin. Lily Richard. Okay. Last but certainly not least, Georgia Smith. I'll grab a picture. And before you step down, next is Georgia South with the Civic Club to announce the awardees.
Hi, thanks to everyone for coming. Throughout the year, the Civic Club does a lot of events, and I get a lot of fulfillment in knowing that we raise money for events such as these where we're giving back to our community and especially our young people. This year we had 3 applicants for scholarships through the Civic Club, and those recipients are Justin Cronister, Brandon Dunnigan, and Georgia Schmidt. Thank you again to everyone that applied.
All right, thank you guys. We can sit down real quick, and I just want to read the proclamation off. Should have done that first. All right, this is just the proclamation. You have it in your packet, but we wanted to get it out there in the minutes. Whereas this year of 2021 continues to bring about dramatic change in the daily lives and routines of all citizens of Clear Lake Shores, and whereas May and June marks the months of graduation for high school seniors across the country, and whereas we celebrate and honor the 2021 graduating seniors in their years of education, and whereas it is important to acknowledge the challenging situations being presented to graduating seniors and honor their hard work and dedication, and whereas we encourage families, friends, and neighbors to congratulate these graduates in their communities, recognize their achievements, and honor them in their journey of education. And now, I therefore, Kurt Otten, Mayor of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, on behalf of this entire City Council, do hereby proclaim June 1st, 2021 as 2021 Senior Recognition Day in Clear Lake Shores, Texas. Now we'll take a 2-minute recession, and if anybody would like to leave, you may, and we'll come back into session and move on to item number 4. So although I think your journey's, come to an end, it's just beginning. With 13 grades behind you, we got maybe 4 more, 6 more, or 8 more to get done and out in the real world. So congratulations. If anybody wants to move up front row seats are open. We'll do the next class of graduates. the meeting back in order at 6:40. Next is item 4, public hearing, 419 Oak Road, Clear Lake Shores, Texas, 77565, ordinance violation regarding a substandard building on the property. Anybody at this time would like to speak on behalf of that property in public? It is now open. Just related to. Okay, if you would use the microphone on the podium, please.
Okay, my name is Raymond Huczynski. I live at 427 Oak Road, which is adjacent to the property that had the fire back February 24th. And I just wanted to kind of give some context, maybe remind everyone what the process has been so far. So the fire occurred on, late February, and it took the fire department 5.5 hours to put it out. It was an extraordinarily hot fire. Hardy board and hurricane windows saved our place. It took the windows 5 hours before they failed. So I don't sell any one of those products, but yes. And so at that time, the fire department recommended that the structure that was remaining be demoed out for falling hazard reasons. The city issued a demand, or whatever the term is, to have that occur within 72 hours. And while some of the materials were taken down from the 3-story freestanding wall that was there, the falling hazard was not remediated, and that caused my family to be out of our house for many weeks because we couldn't safely live there, nor could I wouldn't risk the lives of any contractors or anyone to begin reparations on our house. So in the following weeks, March 16th, we had a city council meeting where it was determined that the entire site be completely cleared up, and it was given 90 days. And so we're rapidly approaching 90 days from March 16th. It is not advanced very quickly. There are stacks of debris easily 12 feet or taller, and it's been a very difficult thing to get work done on our house with the condition of the place next door. At this point, we are hurriedly trying to get in hurricane windows because the upstairs of our property is not weathered in and certainly not ready for hurricane season. There's a material shortage on that end, and that's just a fact of the thing. But I would strongly encourage us not to allow this to go on as it is. It is not at all the benefit of the community to have it stay in this state, and it's becoming an attractive nuisance, to say the least. We're beginning to see rats, this type of, just critters and things. So that's my opinion on things. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. No, we have to use the podium, please.
Hi, my name is Mary Christian, and I've lived here 33 years. and Brian Chernicky has lived behind me for 25 years. I have watched him build that house by himself for 25 years, and it's not insured, it's not up to code, and it's hurricane season, and all that debris is going to get either blown into our yards or the neighborhood. He's not insured. I've got 25 reasons why you should not let him rebuild, and I would like that place torn down as well. Thank you.
All right.
Would you like me to read my 25 reasons?
Sure, you have
Okay.
2 more minutes.
Okay. Well, first, it's hurricane season. There'll be flying, floating debris. There's trash with varmints, rats, possums. It devalues our property. It's an eyesore, and we're tired of looking at it. He has an aggressive dog locked in there to guard his junkyard. No signs of significant progress in the last 90 days. It's against building code, and the lawsuit, the city might get a lawsuit. It's illegal. He has no insurance to protect the properties of others. There's no variance. He's built right up to our fence. We've tried to talk to him. He's argumentative and uncooperable, and I don't see him here. He's built a 10-by-10 pit full of water that's breeding mosquitoes that the firemen fell into when I watched his house burn for 5.5 hours and used up enough water to fill an Olympic-sized pool. I don't know if he even pays taxes.
Can you use the mic, please? Just so
Oh, I'm sorry. He has a 10-by-10 pit full of water breeding mosquitoes that the firemen fell into trying to get into his backyard. That's an obstacle course. It smells like a burned out campfire when it rains, when the humidity gets up to 50%. He's lived behind me for 25 years. I never knew he had any children or any children lived there. I've never seen any children. And when the house burned, our roofer found bullet casings on our roof after the fire. So that's 18. I think my 3 are up. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary.
Anybody else?
All right, anybody else on the public hearing item number 4? All right, public hearing closes at 6:47 p.m. Next is reports from council. Councilman Steve Wirtis.
I have nothing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wirtis. Next is Councilman Rick Fisher.
Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Next is Councilwoman Monica Leday.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Ms. Leday. Next is Councilman Alex Scanlon.
I went to my first Harris Galveston Area Council meeting, which was a many hour experience. Those are some they're pretty lengthy. It was good. I learned a lot. It was about transportation, which I'm working with roads and drainage here, so it was interesting. I have a couple things that affect our city. I think I was trying to take some notes. The city of Seabrook had a representative on the transportation committee for the Houston Galveston Area Council. I assume that's because of the development going on with 146. She has stepped down, so our local representation has been reduced. I don't know if I'll end up volunteering for that committee. I'm not exactly sure how this whole deal works yet, but I'm trying to figure it out. It's like a whole nother city council with all of the committees we volunteer for again and like the next level, so it can be a full-time job, I think, if you want it to be. There's a lot of discussion. I was in it for 2.5 hours before I had to move on with my working day, so that was a whole thing. But a lot of mixed modal transportation is being pushed in the general area, bicycles, buses, that kind of thing, and we're on the leading edge of that around here. It's pretty easy to get around on a golf cart. We've got some sidewalks going in, so we're at least trending in the same way that the rest of the area is, and I'll keep it short because I said it was long and I could talk for hours about what they were talking about.
All right, thank you, Mr. Scanlon. Next is Councilman Randy Chronister.
I don't really have anything to report, but I would like to say that the ceremony we had yesterday evening was really nice, so thanks for all that you did for that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chronister. Just a couple notes here. Extend a big thanks to City Mark Church, who came out and recognized our first responders in our police department with Chief Keel. It was great to see them come out and do that and give them a little bit of awards and stuff. Next, and just to iterate what Randy was saying, seeing everybody out at the, after their long weekend, hopefully everybody enjoyed it and saw everybody out there at Sundial Park. And, you know, we had Jack Sonora come out from Dickinson VFW and before TAP, so that was very sombering. Also, just a reminder, today is the 1st of June, so with 1st of June comes the hurricane season, unfortunately. The city has done a tabletop exercise and gone through that and put us in a state of readiness, which goes through several different states, depending on where the storms are coming in at and heading our direction. And just want to remind each one of y'all to do the same thing with your families. Make sure you have plans in place and you have your proper supplies procured and are available at your house or secondary house, wherever you're going to. And that's it. Next is item 6, staff reports. Police Department Chief Keel.
Good afternoon, council members, citizens. I have a few items to touch on. First and foremost, I'll have the stats for the month of May for the Clear Lake Shores Police Department. During the month of May, we had 279 traffic contacts. We made 2 DWI arrests, 7 narcotics offenses, 1 burglary of a motor vehicle, 1 fraud case, 2 assaults, 2 weapons violations. We had 3 thefts, and they were retail thefts up at Home Depot. We made 37 arrests. Those numbers are up because of the jail being open again, and we are now serving warrants for outstanding traffic fines. We worked 4 motor vehicle accidents. We assisted other agencies 11 different times. We conducted 11 residential checks and 609 business checks during the month of May. We did have the video come out for the hurricane prep. I wanted to thank Ms. Ritchie for her assistance in that. I know they look like we know what we're doing, but we don't. She does, so thank you for that. And we did have an officer resign his position with the police department. Officer Leggio turned in his resignation effective May the 28th, which was last Friday, for personal reasons, and it's testament to having extra people or reserves that are available. We've been filling slots for that position for a while, and we do have an agreement with one of our reserves to take a full-time position. I'll be introducing him to the council, along with Officer Zanko, who I never got a chance to introduce over the Zoom meetings that we're having, but scheduling is going to allow us to, I'll get her and Officer Cooley introduced to the council at our next meeting that we have in person. That's all I have for now, if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Keel. Next is a building official, Kevin Harrell.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and Council. My building report from May 19th to June 1st. I issued 7 permits between our last meeting. All the permits I've issued were minor permits. Current residential construction, I have 6 homes currently being built. I am currently reviewing a new house at 227 West Shore. The unsafe structure at 419 Oak, not much has been happening. He did fill up his 4th 30-yard dumpster, but it still remains slow, and 73 days has passed. With no timeline, no structural engineer has been hired, or has inspected the structure. Galveston Bay Brewing Company, the drawings have been reviewed. I and the fire marshal are waiting for comments. Hopefully they'll be correct and they can get started soon. Code enforcement cases, I have 9 cases. They're all junk vehicles. They will be coming to public hearing next council meeting. That's all I have. if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harrell. Clear Lake Shores Kima Volunteer Fire Department is not present. And Galveston County Health District, Amy Weber is not present. Next is City Administrator Brent Spear.
Good evening, residents and council. Let's see, the things of note, pool plastering project's been completed and got a lot of use this weekend. It's received a lot of compliments, so appreciate everyone getting to enjoy that. And if you need a pool membership, please come up to City Hall and buy one. It's a great asset to utilize. Daniel Drawer, they're continuing to work with CenterPoint to relocate those utility poles. On the east parking lot, we are awaiting a meter install by CenterPoint/Reliant, and anticipated this to be a lot quicker, but because we're a contracted energy buyer with a very low rate, we had to go through another avenue to have that company initiate that for us. It's a little different than our standard operating procedure, but we've got that figured out, and they should be installing that this week. The west lot's been complete for some time and seems to be functioning very well. Let's see. Public Works has been busy cutting down some of the dead palm trees, and if you've driven around, you've seen we've tagged some with ribbon. Those are to identify ones that are either dead, appear dead, or could possibly be dead. They have a little bit of a shot of shooting some green out the top of them and surviving, but we're not holding out a lot of hope for them. So Public Works, we don't have a lot of equipment, but they've been working on that very diligently to remove some of the lower ones and get those cleared out. And once we kind of do all that we can do over the next few weeks, then we'll go ahead and have it quoted out by Tree Service and have them come in and take the rest of them down, so that they're not a hazard, especially during our approaching storm season. On the Waterfront Lease that was approved at the last meeting, that has been split, and it resulted in a 20-foot lease and a 32.8-foot lease. Those costs will be recovered, and we'll be working to start the auction process. So if someone is looking for a waterfront lease, those will soon appear on our website, and we'll roll those out through our other media venues. On tomorrow, if you are signed up on CLS Connect, this goes with our storm preparation, there will be a test of our official emergency information system that's specific to the city. So if you're signed up for CLS Connect, 10 a.m. you should get a buzz, a beep, a burp, something come through, and a little test message. If you receive that, then all is good. You're in the information pipeline. So as we send out any official notifications, they'll come through that process, and then as we can update, we'll also do our social media and our website. So, but CLS Connect seems to be the most direct route because it comes directly to your device. So if you're not already signed up, please go to the website and do so. It's very easy, and it has a lot of benefits, and we don't spam you or anything, so you're not going to get ads or anything like that. What comes through there is from us. And for council, a reminder, cybersecurity training, need to get those completed, sent back. And if you could check your emails from May 6th and check maybe your spam folder, because I have one from the mayor, and I think the council members are all missing that. It all went out in the same email. So May 6th, please check your emails. And no movement yet on Shell Bottom Park, but did meet with Shellmark, and we're in the design phase, and I believe they did send a crew out to survey not the water portion and the land portion for that project. So moving slowly on that. Are there any questions? Go to the website, and you can search for CLS Connect. It's also part of what's called Blackboard system. and it will take you to the sign-up page. You click on that link, you enter your name, a phone number, device, an email, however you want to be contacted, and that's how you sign up.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Spear. Next is item number 7, public comments. At this time, any person with city-related business may speak to City Council. In compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, City Council may not deliberate. Comments from the public should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual. Need to open up the public comments. Chief, can you get the microphone, please?
Thank you. I'm Diana Cox. I live at 230 Oak. This is really more of a concern. It sort of has to do with the boat ramp. This weekend, as the tide is going up, those pilings that are almost underwater to underwater, I mean, we need to put a float or something on that to mark it now with all the boat traffic, because boats are running into it. It's a danger.
Okay, well, Mr. Spear, can you see if Public Works can get some floats on those for us?
Yes, I understand it. Like pool ring.
Yeah, something that floats on top of the surface of the water just to indicate there's something below.
Okay.
And also, I would like to see if they could look at rebuilding that, because it seems like it may take a long time before we get the grant. And can we just go ahead and do that internally and rebuild that walkway, since the piers are in pretty good health still. I know that we were waiting, but the wait may be a long time.
Our biggest problem is that we don't have the ability to drive pilings and pull the old ones out, and that's kind of where we're at now on the end of it, where it was destroyed. The lift where it pulled off all of the decking material, the joists for I don't know, the hangers, the struts were all used up with wood screws, because we had to replace them so often, so they were ate up, and now the pilings are in the same condition.
Okay, so the top of the pilings are no good.
Yeah, so that was why we peeled all that off and then taped it off, but we can get some
well, we may need to either get floats on it or reach out and have somebody come by there and pull those pilings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on public comments? Having none, old business discussion, possible action may be taken on the following items. Item A, review and approve proposed interlocal agreement 2021-05-11 regarding Galveston County Health District. And I think Mr. Spear went off to see what all that was supposed to mean and get back to us.
Yes, I think I sent an email, council, with my findings, but basically or did I send to the mayor? Did I get anything off to you? I'm sorry. Okay, the findings of this, I've written it down, that's why I thought it was an email, so I apologize. The findings are that originally that the Galveston County Health District was, from the very beginning, was started with a lot of input from the professional community. So you had the healthcare professionals, you had the schools, the hospitals, you had industry that was involved in the creation of that, and hence they had numerous members. I think they were at 14. So they had 14 members, and as they progressed, and it's a 10-year agreement, and they missed a couple of those 10-year points where they didn't re-up. So there's a 20-year gap in there. The Galveston County Health District has remained solvent and has done its job and continues to do its job, but there was a concern as they went and they looked at this, that they're having trouble filling those positions. The other thing is that with the professional organizations, the hospitals, the university, that there is a possible conflict of interest to have those agencies represented on the same board that could possibly do business or send business their way. And so they made the determination that they were going to go from 14 to 5, and one of the concerns was that none of the 5 were a healthcare professional. And so I reached back out to Mr. Webb at Galveston County. We weren't the only ones with that kind of question. They made an adjustment to that proposed interlocal agreement that they rolled out to everyone else, and there was a copy attached to our packet that includes one member that is, I guess, a licensed physician. So that's how they work that. As far as the interlocal agreement, there's no additional charges to us as part of that. It is included. They are the main grant funding mechanism for any health pandemic. You know, we just went through a pandemic, and the cost to the city was very minimal, and it was absorbed by the health district, and they took care of handling those grants and so forth. So they're the funding mechanism for that. They also supply it, and they have a long host of services that they provide, top to bottom. In fact, today I just had the swimming pool was inspected by Galveston County Health District. So, you know, they also do mosquito control, and we're part of that group. So they spray and treat for mosquitoes at nighttime. And we're going to have they were going to have a representative here to answer any questions, but I think there must have been a conflict with their scheduling. So I'm surprised they weren't here. But after looking at that and getting those questions, I would recommend signing that proposed agreement.
All right, call for a motion.
All right, well, I'll make a motion then that we go ahead and approve the proposed interlock agreement 2021-5-11 regarding Galveston County Health District.
I second it.
All right, motion by Mr. Fisher, second by Ms. Leday for approving the 2021-05-11 Galveston County Health District interlocal agreement. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? Having none, the motion passes. Next is item B, action from public hearing, substandard building for 419 Oak Road, Clear Lake Shores, Texas 77565. Has you down there first,
Yeah.
Mr. Spear.
Has me down there first. This was I anticipated having the owner of the property be here, but we've received a late night last night communication from him. He is ill, unable to attend, and he had a summary of some of his events and what he's working on. The primary consideration of the public hearing was to hear from the public and allow him an opportunity to speak and address the things that he was supposed to be working on, Mr. Chernecki. We still, as Kevin related in his report, we're still awaiting a structural engineer report on this property that originally he said within 10 days he could get, and we still don't have that, or we haven't received a copy of that. So that was the reason for bringing him up, because we do know that the 90 days is rapidly approaching. So we just want to make sure that we are kept in the loop, and that he realizes that we're not going to forget these milestones, and that they need to be addressed for public health considerations, for safety, and just general welfare of the community as we now go into storm season. So I didn't know if Kevin would have Kevin did go and take some pictures today. Unfortunately, we have some visual difficulties, but I'll let him speak to what he saw today down at the site.
So there's been very little done. Mr. Chernecki is doing it by himself. As I said earlier, he has loaded up 4 30-yard dumpsters in the last 73 days, but that's not enough. There's still, he originally had a contractor pull permit to remove the third and second story, but yet the second story still remains, and has not been touched in weeks, sometimes not at all. The back structure has not been touched at all. I have noticed that he has cleaned out the inside of the house. And as stated earlier, he is keeping his dog there during the day, kenneled or inside. His last report given to me this morning, he did state that he was working with an engineer and that they were working on building plans and a structural report. I called that engineer this morning, spoke to the structural engineer that handles the jobs. Also, his inspector was on the phone with me as well, and they have no record of a contract with Mr. Chernecki. They said he could have called in, got a quote, and never heard back, but they have nothing on their schedule for an inspection, and they have no record of any drawings being done as of today. Any questions?
Wasn't that part of our original motion?
Actually, we need to make a motion before we discuss. Excuse. So you need to make a motion for some type of action, and you can discuss it, then you can table it later if you want.
You can amend the motion.
Amend the motion, yeah.
All right, I make a motion that we do the demolition on the property.
What was the motion?
To demolish the property.
There's a motion to demolish the property, the building on the property.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion by Ms. Leday and second by Mr. Scanlon. Any discussion?
Wasn't that part of our original layout to him, as he was supposed to have just somebody retained? He didn't have to be here. They knew it was going to take a while to get him here, but he hasn't even retained anybody, to your knowledge, correct?
Yes, the original order that this council gave was that he would provide a timeline and a demolition plan within the 14 days. He would hire an engineer, a structural engineer, to inspect the property within the same 14 days. And after 14 days, he would give me a progress report, and every 2 weeks after that, another report. He's complied only with 1/3 of that. He has been giving me reports. Most of the time they're late, and most of the time they're not correct.
So when the 90 days runs out, what would happen, or what do we have to take action as council? Is there a plan in place, Kevin?
That is entirely up to this council. I would recommend that you talk to the attorney.
You gave him, is this on? Yeah. You gave him 90 days to address this, to get you a structural engineer's report, and to get it removed, or at least if the first floor structure was okay, to be allowed to leave that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Like I said, the original order was to at least hire an engineer in that first 14 days. And then within that 90-day span, that engineer would make a report, and we would go from there on whether or not he could keep the first story. He already has a permit to remove the third and second story, but he hasn't completed that yet, and he hasn't removed all the debris.
All right.
So I thought, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I thought that the whole purpose of that was, Kevin, and I'm just talking, I'm trying to remember, but the only way he could keep any of that structure was if that structural engineer okayed it.
That's correct.
And there's a lot of that structure still standing, so should we not assume, Lauren, that unless we get that report, it's all coming down, correct?
Absolutely. You've given him sufficient time, unless I'm no building, demolition expert or engineer. But in my mind, listening to what we heard from the demo experts that were here at the last meeting, it would not take 90 days to take that building down, and I've not seen a lot of buildings that would take
No, typically
take that
demolition
down.
will take, of a house of that size, a professional demolition crew could take it down in a week.
Yeah.
Completely clean and scraped
Given that,
away.
you've given him sufficient time to get that taken care of. If this council wants to order at the end of the 90 days that it be demolished, you can certainly do so, because you've asked for his cooperation. He has failed to give it to you, and you've given him ample time to do so.
And to add to that, then the order would be already in place, and you wouldn't have to reconvene council to make that decision.
Correct.
I mean, in my opinion, I don't see any movement happening out there. And hurricane season is coming quickly. If we get a storm, we can't do anything at that point. And we're all gonna...
So, should we go start getting bids for that, Kevin? Instead of waiting until the 90 days are over, should we put it out for bids so we have those numbers, we have somebody ready to move as soon as it's up?
I certainly can do that while we are waiting for the 90-day deadline, yes.
Keep in mind, too, that any money expended to demolish that building can be placed as a lien against the property.
Right.
Which oddly enough actually gets recovered pretty often. Maybe not tomorrow, but in the next several years it will be.
And somebody will probably come out and give you a bid for nothing, you know? So, is that worth going into now and putting that in the motion?
I would like to get ahead of this, yes, and that would be a good idea.
Otherwise, we'll wait until after the 90 days. What if we have a storm and we don't get anybody for 6 more months?
It's a good point.
May I make a comment, please? I think, in light of the fact that there hasn't really, in my opinion, but my observation, there hasn't been any real sincere effort to either rebuild or tear down the structure. I think, and I'm speaking for myself, had we seen more compliance with the initial promises that he had made about contracting structural engineer, debris removal, etc. I think we've been more than lenient, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think it would be a good idea to initiate action such that we have to give him his 90 days to comply. We can't really, we're powerless to do anything prior to that, but after that I think we should move forward with.
Well, the 90 days was an add-on. It's 30 days, 90 days if he has a plan.
Okay.
And he's supposed to be providing a plan and then adhering to that plan with reports back to Kevin. And that's what Mr. Harrell's reporting, that he's not getting reports.
Yes, sir.
Or not timely. Yeah, it says 74 days right now?
73.
That's correct. Yesterday was 73, today is 74.
Just as an abundance of caution, I don't think it hurts you guys to wait another 14 days. I agree with the mayor that the 30 days is probably what is applicable. But to save an argument, if we get there later, I would say give them 14 days if you want to make that amendment to the motion.
That's basically the remainder of the 90 days we originally
I mean, I feel badly, you know,
It'd be
taking
16 days, you're right. My bad.
the man's house away, but I almost feel like we'd be doing him a favor in doing it, because not only would it better our community and our homes if a storm does come, but it leaves him with a clean slate. He still owns the property, he can rebuild, and he doesn't have to worry about the demolition. If he can get a building permit and appropriate insurance to do it the right way, up to code, this could actually be a clean slate for him. And one less thing that he has to worry about, especially since he's ill now. At least that's my opinion. I'll amend my motion to allow him the full 90 days. And then at that point, if he has not successfully completed everything that he had to have completed in 90 days, then we demo the property.
I'll second.
Amended motion is to, allow the, another 16 days, and at the completion of the 90 days, if the house has not rendered per the building permits that were submitted and the engineering report, that the city would exercise demolition of the property. Is that correct? All right. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? Having none, the motion passes. All right, next is, council, or consent agenda. Does any council member wish to have a consent agenda pulled consisting of A or B?
In the minutes from last meeting, item 11.
You have to pull it, you have to pull it. You gotta pull it, and then we'll discuss it later.
I pull the whole agenda off of it?
No,
just the one item?
Just
Okay.
the B, is that
The
what you're...
11, yeah, item number 11, council business B.
But you're pulling item
you're pulling
B
all of the minutes.
of the council meeting minutes, and then we'll discuss it in
Okay.
regular business.
All right.
Okay. So item B is being pulled, and so we have consent agenda, item A, any objections? Having none, consent agenda passes with just item A. We'll go into council business. Discussion and possible action may be taken on this following items. Item A is resolution 2021-04, a resolution of the city of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, supporting a no wake zone in and around the Clear Lake area on June 25th, 2021 during the Texas Outlaw Challenge. Brent?
Don't have a lot to add to that, with the exception of reading the whole thing out, but this is in support of the Texas Outlaw Challenge on Clear Lake, and large fast boats, and they prefer to have no wake while they're doing that. So city has done this in previous years in support of this event, and it's up to you to decide.
Yeah, so we don't really police, I mean, we don't police it, just puts the no wake out there so they can execute it for their races that they do for a few hours. Yes. Make a motion.
Okay, fine. I'll make the motion then that we pass resolution 2021-04, the resolution for the city of Clear Lake Shores, Texas, supporting the no wake zone in and around Clear Lake area on June 25th, 2021 during the Texas Outlaw Challenge.
I second it.
All right, motion by Mr. Fisher, second by Ms. Leday to approve resolution 2021-04. Any discussion?
Just want to clarify, they were saying here in the resolution, I guess it's just going to be pretty much for that morning from 8 to noon, and I guess once they're done with with their time runs or whatever, that they'll remove everything will go back to normal.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how it's worked in past years. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Having none, motion passes. Item B, consider and approve having one council meeting a month during the summer months of June, July, and August. So I put this on here. Looking to the future, it looks like our agenda, log is pretty thin, and, in addition to that, we can always call a meeting, a special meeting, plus we have slated 3 budget meetings right now for council. 2 budgets with just council, EDC's having a budget meeting, and then we're having a joint session budget meeting. So, in turn, with taking 3 off, but gaining 3, pretty much cancels the others out. So, in addition to that, just looking for folks, to be able to have vacations. Also, the city staff can also do some a little bit long-term focusing, within their projects, and, they would still produce their reports that would come out to council and send that to the council members, consisting of the building, this, police chief, and, city administrator. Our, EMS and fire, reports would still come out on the second meeting, and we didn't have the committee reports this, because they haven't met in, this month yet, but they could, feel free to write something up and, send that out to, council, coming from the chairs of those committees. As long as it goes to everybody and we do not discuss it, amongst, between us, and, so I recommend them to, BCC everybody on those, so we can't reply all. But everybody's aware of those ethical rules and regulations. So that's basically it, the reason why I was proposing reducing down to just the first meeting.
I make a motion to go to 1 monthly meeting during the months of June, July, and August 2021.
In a second.
I will second the motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Leday, second by Mr. Wirtis. Any discussion? First, council.
I'm not opposed to the idea. We do have a big ordinance change, or possible ordinance change coming up on roads and drainage that I'd like everyone to be open to having that special meeting for. I expected it to be at this meeting, but I got delayed in legal review. I really hope it's at the next one. That's my only heartburn on that.
Just to give you an update, we have drafted all 3 ordinances. I know it came to us as one, but it's basically in 3 different topics. We've drafted all 3 of them. They just need to be reviewed. We will have them to Brent by the end of the week.
Okay, so that'll be ready would have been ready for the next June meeting if we do this. That's the only thing I have coming up that we need a meeting for.
All right, any other further discussion from council?
So with that coming up, could we do a special meeting to, get that, done into an ordinance?
We can ascertain doing a special meeting or wait till the July meeting.
Okay.
I mean, it is. It's just been. We thought we'd have it on the first meeting in May, and then the next meeting, and then the first meeting in June, and it's just something we've been trying to get done, and it's dragging out. And we, last year was slow. Last year was very slow, so it took us a long time to get through that process. So maybe we start only having 1 meeting a month in July. I know we have a lot of budget meetings, so. But other than that, I don't have any heartburn over the idea.
Steve, you want to?
The only concern I have is the fact that I think on behalf of the neighbors of the house on Oak that we've discussed previously, the action that's going to be occurring there, if we don't have another meeting this month, the next meeting would be the first week of July, I guess. Does that sound right?
That's correct, but what action on the property?
But based on the action that took place tonight, I believe that can go forward without further council action.
Okay.
Or meeting.
Okay.
So, that's correct. All right, yes, sir.
So, yes, just to kind of parrot what Steve was saying, I would want to make sure that we, I would prefer that we have the ability to meet on this if it's necessary regarding the property on Oak Street. So, I don't know, other than say that would be my preference that it be available. I'm willing to take, counsel, legal counsel advice if this is something that will run rather relatively turnkey. That's great, but that's sometimes an awfully big if. So, thank you.
Right, so just to add to that, the city has the action to move forward with it doesn't get completed by 90 days to go and execute that demolition, which council is not involved with that any further.
Yeah, looking at the calendar, I don't believe that 16 days would be up before your next council meeting anyway.
July, right.
So it'd be bumped to July, the first meeting in July. If action was needed, but it's not, so.
All right, any further discussion?
It's up to you.
All right, I'm gonna amend my motion to start the once a month in July, for July and August. And we'll go ahead and have our regularly scheduled meeting for the second in June.
I need a second.
All second.
All right, motion by Ms. Leday and second by Mr. Scanlon to have one council meeting in the month of July and August. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Having none, motion passes. Item C, appoint one member to serve on the Board of Directors of the Economic Development Corporation due to the vacancy left by Charles Scoville. And this one here, I think we've received 3 applicants. Mr. Ronnie Richards, who has them all? Mark Atherton, and what was the last one? Jesse Young. And I don't know if Johnny, if you have anything to add, since you're from the EDC.
Like you said, we have 3 applications. The deadline got moved up, I think, so you guys could try to appoint somebody just in case you didn't have a June meeting, second one. But it sounds like you're going to have one now. But typically the board would have scheduled visitors for the applicants and discuss and get to meet them and then make a recommendation, even though you guys have, unilateral authority to remove and add people. But normally you would have a recommendation from the board, so my recommendation is to push it until next meeting, table it to your next meeting, so we have a chance to discuss and meet the applicants.
All right, well then I'll make a motion that we table the appointment of a member to serve on the board of directors for the EDC until the next meeting in June.
I second.
All right, motion by Mr. Fisher, second by Ms. Leday to table motion of item number C to the next meeting on the 15th. Any discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. All right, going back to the consent agenda, item B, council meeting minutes 5/18/21. Need a motion.
I should motion for the correction I wanted to make.
So you can make a motion with your corrections and get a second and then it'll pass, or you can make a motion to pass it and then amend your motion. However you want to do it.
All right, let me pull it up and I'll try to do it in one. Like a motion to amend the meetings from the city council meeting on Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, item 11, council business B, where Randy Chronister said second his motion, he made the motion. an error in recording it, I think. Didn't mean to make it such a big deal.
Oh, the second B.
This one, Randy second, she second, that should be Randy, make the motion. So you had 2 seconds and no motion? Is that what?
No,
Yes,
it was.
there were two, it was a second and a second in the minutes.
It was written as seconds, but there was a motion.
I mean, yeah, I know, that's how it was written, yeah. I was trying to figure out what it was.
So we have a motion to amend the minutes on section 11B, second portion, to remove the second of the first one, to make that a motion for under Randy. And we have a second for that. A lot of seconds going on.
I'll second it.
All right, second by Ms. Leday. Any further discussion? Having none, all in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. All right, meeting adjourned at 7:36 p.m.